Are you seeing a lot of people on your social media posting going on trips or buying a house, and you're wondering how do they make so much money and why do I feel so poor? Or do you go to work and you see all your coworkers buying different cars or talking about houses they bought or talking about trips that they went on, and you're like, I make the same amount of money, but I can't afford to do that. Why do you feel this way? Why do I feel so poor? Well, let's break down why you might feel this way and some ways to kind of combat this, because I'm not going to lie, this is a feeling that I have a lot. How does this person afford this car? How does this person afford to go on this many trips? How do they afford to buy a house there? I mean, I have no idea how they did it. So let's talk about it. So this could be an illusion of wealth. No one's on social media talking about the amount of debt they're in. No one's on social media talking about the issues they have at home. No one's on social media talking about how they spent the money, whether that's for a house or for a vacation. So you might see the trips, the bags, and the new car, but you don't see the payments that people are putting these things on if they are using payments. Because let's be honest, not everyone is using payments to buy things, but I feel like a lot of people are. So you're seeing that new Mercedes that someone bought, but you're not seeing the $700 payment for 5 years that they have that Mercedes on. Or you see the trip that someone went on, but you didn't see the $5,000 loan at a 30% interest rate that they pulled out to go on this trip. But if you're really into your finances and really want to invest and save as much as you can, you're going to definitely not want to be in their position. You might just say, oh, okay, it makes sense. Well, you do that because I'm not going to get a $5,000 loan with a 30% interest rate to go on vacation. To be honest, some people just finance their lifestyle to keep up with the feed. Some people just finance their lifestyle to keep up with the Joneses. Some people finance their lifestyle so they can live in a certain neighborhood and look the part when they're living in a neighborhood that is probably out of their range or a neighborhood they probably should never went to. A perfect example of the illusion of wealth is from an actual YouTube channel I watch, Caleb Hammer. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him. This woman came on the channel recently. She talked about a cruise she had went on with her fiance at the time, this ex-fiance now, but they had went on this cruise. She paid for the cruise, but she took out like a $1,200 loan. It was probably 20 or 30% interest rate in order to have spending money while on the cruise. So you might be a bystander and you see this woman on the cruise. I would think the same exact thing. How in the world? How much money do they make? They just bought this expensive thing, because you know that the things you buy on a cruise are super expensive because the cruise is mostly all inclusive. So the things you actually buy are expensive. So you might see someone going to the nice steakhouse that now cost maybe $70 or $50 a person. And you're like, man, I wish I could afford that. How are they doing it? You didn't see that they pull out a $1,200 loan at 30% interest rate. Or you see them buy a cool watch, and those watches are expensive. I don't even look at the price tag because I know they're expensive. But you see someone buy this watch, you're like, man, how they do that? Like, I wish I could do that. You know, why do I feel so poor? Because you didn't see that $1,200 loan that they pulled out to pay for the watch, to pay for going out to eat on the cruise, to pay for these different things so they can enjoy themselves on a cruise. I highly recommend that you don't do that and you save properly for spending money, especially when it comes to going on a cruise or going on vacation. And silent help is a game changer. Some people have help, whether it's from parents, whether it's from siblings, whether it's from their spouse. They have help, they have assistance. Some people get cash gifts. Some people might get a cash gift every year. Now, comment in the comment section if you're that person that gets a cash gift every year, or if you know someone that gets a cash gift every year from the parents, or someone might not have student loans because their parents either paid them off or their parents set them up at 529, so they graduated college without student loans, so they were able to go on that vacation because they're able to save money because they didn't have to pay for student loans. But you might have a student loan and you don't have the money to do what they're doing because you have the student loan. For example, I have a student loan, but there's probably people that I've seen on social media going on trips or buying cars that don't have student loans. So they may be able to afford more than I can because I have this extra payment that they don't have. And some people live rent free. Some people are still living with their parents and they have extra money now to go on vacation, or they have extra money to pay for cars. And that's something like in my job. Some people might have different living situations. So I'm like, how are they affording this car when I know rent is $1,200. I know food is $400 or $500. And this car payment has to be $500, $700 because that's the average car payment. And this might be just the average person. But what I didn't know was that that person lives with their parent, or that person has a spouse that makes as much, more, or maybe less than they do, which kind of helps cushion the blow of their car payment or whatever they have going on. For example, this is a perfect example. This guy at my job, he has this nice car. I kind of talked to him like, whoa, he has this nice house. How does he do this? How does he afford this? Why do I feel so poor compared to this guy? I'm comparing myself to him. I'm like, I can't afford a house like that. I can't afford a car like that. But when you actually talk to him, he talks about how he had a business and how he sold the business and how his dad was a businessman as well. And then he talked about his spouse and how spouse makes money. So it all comes together like, oh, okay, that's how they can do these things. So there I was comparing myself. This is something that I do a lot, and I really need to stop and work on myself and stop comparing myself to other people. This guy had a whole nother situation going on, and I'm just like, how can he do this? But then I have a whole different situation going on. We're bringing about the same money from the job, but outside the job, he's bringing in a certain amount of money, just as I am with some rental properties. But it was a perfect example of me comparing myself to someone else, not really knowing their situation outside the workplace. And one of the biggest reasons that I feel poor is because I'm playing the long game. And that's probably you. If you're really into finances and really into retiring or investing, then you're not in it for the short term. You're in it for the long term. So you're investing a lot more than potentially a good amount of those people that are going on those trips, or a good amount of those people that are pulling out those car loans. Instead of paying for car loans, you're actually investing the money that will be going to that car loan, because you know that investing is super important and that you don't want to work for the rest of your life. So you're making the sacrifice today in order to have a better future. And to be honest, I think you're doing it right, because you're budgeting, you're investing, you're avoiding debt, and you're saving in order to have a better financial future. But you're also living below your means. You're driving that old car. You're not renting out those luxury apartments because you know that it's something that doesn't really bring you value, and you know what you want your future to look like. You know what you want your investment portfolio to look like. And some people just don't have that mindset. But maybe some people do, but they literally just have more money, or they have another spouse that makes a lot of money or makes the same amount of money as they do, or even makes less. But you really don't know the situation, so you can't really judge yourself or compare yourself to them, because you guys might work the same place, but you might have two completely different situations outside of work. They might have just put in a lot of work to get a business up and going, and that's where a lot of the money is coming from for the trips that they go on or for the house that they bought. So I mean, to be honest, what you're doing by saving and investing, it's not sexy, but it adds up over time. So continue doing what you're doing and try not to compare yourself to everyone else. And to be honest, this comparison game will ruin you. And I'm trying to not let it get to me too bad. Every day I work on not comparing myself when I see people on social media buying these expensive or these nice houses. I try not to compare myself, but it's so difficult to do this. But the comparison game will eat you alive. There's always going to be someone making more money than you. There's always going to be someone doing better financially than you. There's always going to be someone that's investing more. There's always going to be someone that's going on more vacations or buying a bigger house. But you have to focus on your goal. You have to focus on your mission in order to have that true happiness with yourself. And to be honest, we have no idea what these people are giving up. We have no idea what they're giving up mentally, what they're giving up physically. Maybe they're giving up living in an expensive city, or maybe they're giving up living by themselves and living with their roommates so they can then put more money towards going on vacation. You don't know what they're giving up. But truly, some people sacrifice in certain areas in order to fully fund or fund more money towards a different area. I'm a perfect example of that. So I sacrifice in the housing by house hacking. It's not the nicest house. It's not the newest house. I sacrifice my car payment. I could have a car payment. I can go get a new car, but I sacrifice having an old beater car in order to invest more money, in order to pay for cash for my vacations. We just got off a vacation, and it was a great vacation, and we did not have to worry about it because we sacrificed in the housing department. We sacrificed in the vehicle and the transportation department, so we can now roll the money that will go to those two things, and they can now go towards vacation or investing or saving for our next house. So at the end of the day, just focus on you. You're building something solid. You're building your foundation. And that's something I have to think about every day. Even if you're truly not able to save and you're just barely making it by, you might not want the trade-off of what these other people have, where they have a whole bunch of debt or loans on the things that they have, because it can bring a lot of stress to them, and you may never want to feel that kind of emotion or pressure. So like I said, someone will always be ahead, but just look at where you are and continue to focus on saving, continue to focus on investing, and be sure to enjoy your money at the same time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.